Have you ever thought about what happens to us when we die? I know, right? Just jumping straight into the heavy question this episode. But for real, have you? Yeah, me neither. It's just too scary, you know. It's too scary to face the reality of my mortality. But then there are these little moments sprinkled throughout our lives that force us to think about that. Like when you're in the middle of heavy turbulence on a plane and you can see that even the flight attendants are nervous. Or when you mess up big time and you have to face the wrath of your parents. Or, and this is one many of us don't think about, when you're an expectant mother going into labor. For something that's been happening for literally all of human existence, childbirth is still an extremely scary time in a woman's life. So scary that it forces you to face your mortality. Because you have to ask yourself that question: who will take care of my child if I die? Yeah, this episode. And if we're being honest, the whole season is about asking those hard questions. The hope with stories like this, stories that ask big questions, is that maybe somewhere in the experience of others, we can find answers for ourselves. You know, expo for the test of life. So for our final episode, our final question this year: what goes through your mind when faced with the reality of your mortality?
This one? Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Nice to meet you. Hi. Shake hands?
Okay, so should I start from what happened?
Maybe we start with introduction.
Hi. I thought you were that.
Oh, that yeah.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Doris. I'm a mom. I've got 4 kids. Okay, why did you do this? And all 4 kids that I've had, I had them through C-section. Kitty,
It was new.
Nanya, this is Nanya,
Yeah.
my princess daughter. Which is a procedure where you have surgery to have the baby removed from your tummy because of medical complications. Nanya is 8 years old.
8.
Very smart and very girly. And this one is her. Well, it's a study. This is what we call the study in our house. So this is where we work, my husband and I. Babe, what are we eating for dinner?
They are eating dinner.
What is it?
That one loaf that they just devoured right now is dinner. So this one, golden loaf.
Me and drink. So I make clothes mainly with fabrics like this. Ajire. Yeah, that's basically what I do. My husband does web work.
Yeah. Like, is it a freelance?
Let's do couple things. Let's try
I was
shawarma.
in on the loaf.
Oh Lord.
Eh?
What's your little sister's name? Ichi. Hi.
The subject of our discussion.
How old is she now?
Turned 2 last month.
Okay, let me go back.
My first child, she was in breech position, meaning her head was up instead of down and her legs were down. And so we had to have a C-section. The next baby that I had after that was almost 6.5 years later, and I went into labor. And if you have a history of having a C-section, you're not supposed to go into labor for more than 2 hours. But being in Nigeria, our doctors are mad. They left me and I was in labor for 18 hours, and it got to the point where I became very weak. I was losing my breath. The baby was also weak. The baby wasn't kicking as much, and so they had to have a C-section. And so we did that. Then the next baby was a year and a half later, my son. I obviously had to have a C-section because I already had two. So there was no question of, try and push. No, nothing like that. I was given the anesthesia. It got to a point where it was like the anesthesia wore off, but it was too far gone. It was towards the end of the surgery and they couldn't do anything. So I had to bear the pain. I could feel each stitch as they were stitching me up. It was very painful. And I thought I was done having children. Next baby was almost 6 years later. That's this little lady here. And that is when the interesting thing happened. I was supposed to have the baby in November, right? 17th of November. Well, then in September, my water broke. When your water breaks, it means shortly after that, you're going to go into labor. It was 1:30 in the night. 1:30. I just finished praying. That's why I was awake. I told my husband, I think my water just broke. Then I just flung his phone. He said, nah. I said, let me go and check. I said, because the water is pouring on me and I'm not peeing. He said, no, it's pee. I said, stop trying to be Rambo. I checked. I sat down there, the water was just pouring. I have never experienced this before. I'm not peeing. I went back to the room. I put 3 thick towels and I sat on the ground. I told him, we need to go to the hospital now, or wait in the morning and go. So my husband said, where are the baby things? I said, what baby things? The ones that we did not finish buying or what? The few that we bought, let's pack them and go to the hospital. He said, so when my husband is panicking, he doesn't raise his voice, he'll just be blinking rapidly. When he's in that state, I had to be giving him the instruction, so he has something to be doing. So he just brought the baby stuff. I said, open the box, pour everything inside. And then that's how we went. The next morning, I called my friend to come and please help me pick the kids and take them to school. I knew that I can't go into labor in September when baby is due. That means the baby is going to be a premature baby. So I had to rush to the hospital in the morning. And immediately they saw me, they just kept me there because water would just be pouring. The amniotic fluid busted. And they kept me in the hospital on strict bed rest. Told me I had to stay there. When I got there, after they checked me in, I was doing, I'm strong, all that nonsense. I was forming strong, babe. Then, when I was left alone and I sat down, I just thought of reality. What if I lose this child, or what if I die, or something happens? And then I started crying. And if you just give an inch to that feeling, the floodgates will just burst open. I was just crying. And then one of the nurses, she was like, "That why are you crying? You've been so strong, you've been so positive, and now suddenly don't. That's not good. That's a bad sign. Don't do that. Turn it around. You can be strong. Don't. If your kids see you like this, how they're going to feel? They're going to be scared. If your husband sees you, they're going to be, because you're like the backbone. You're the one that's giving everybody strength. Don't cry. Try and be strong." So I calmed myself down and I started praying. I was just telling God, please help me to get through this so that I would just go back home to my family. But I cannot imagine my life without my husband and my children. We are very close. So they kept me there, and then they tried their best. They gave me injections, all manner of things. They gave me this particular injection, Coco Damor, the most painful injection on planet Earth. This injection was so painful. It had a life of its own. It was so painful. They were trying to keep me for as long as they could so I wouldn't go into labor. That was supposed to stall the labor. and also help with the baby's lungs. My doctor was checking on me to make sure that my mental state was right, that I was physically okay, I was eating well, I was resting well, and because it matters. If you are not mentally okay, it's a difficult thing to go into the theater like that. Yeah. You have to talk. Yeah, talk now. After having so many C-sections, you can't go into labor. You can't push. You rub, because the contractions make it comes and goes like this, so it could rupture your womb. So I went into labor. I knew from the moment that I was going to go into labor that I'm about to go into labor, because the baby started the intensity of the flow reduced to almost drops from flowing for all those number of days. It was just pouring, and each time any of the doctors do the ward round and they look at me, like I look into their eyes because I'm trying to guess what they're thinking, because they won't really tell you everything, but I could see that these people are trying to hide something from me. The doctor was like, "How are you feeling?" I said, "It feels like my womb, like as if the stitches from the last surgery, as if it's opening, like it's really painful." I did not know that was what was really happening, and the medical term for that is your womb rupturing. I didn't know. I was just telling them how I was feeling, and the contractions were getting really intense and painful. So the main doctor, the one that had the facility, came, saw me, and he just said, "The pain is too much. We need to do an emergency C-section tonight." I mean, I was like, what about the baby? How will the baby? That they're hoping for the best, and they'll just have to do. They can't keep me any longer than this. That they were going to do in the morning, but that by then it might be too late. They'll do it in the night. Quarter to midnight on the 4th of October, they assembled their team from all over Abuja, and they came and prepared me to go for surgery. I still had the presence of mind to look at the pediatrician. I'm like, "This pediatrician is fine, shall." When they gave me the anesthesia, they were like, "Maybe it's the drugs talking." I told my doctor, "Don't forget to tie my womb. Don't forget." The guy said, "Yes." I said, "Because I can't do this again. I can't come back to do this again." Surgery was supposed to start. The doctor gave me a cut with his knife, an incision, and I felt it. Now, I had been given the anesthesia, and I was not supposed to feel anything, and I felt it. I was very aware, and I screamed. The doctor said, "I said, you just cut me from left to right. That's what you just did." He said, "No." I said, "Do it again and see." "I can feel it." He did again. I screamed. The whole theater just stopped. The guy that gave me the anesthesia said, "You're not supposed to be able to feel anything." I said, "Well, I can feel it." So they knocked me out. When they knocked me out, I went to this place, like a tunnel. How do I describe it now? Imagine a mirror. You're looking at a mirror through another mirror. So it goes till infinity like that. But in this case, it was not a mirror. It was like a tunnel. But it was all white, and it was just going like that. Like as far as your eyes could see. I was going really quickly. But it was like I was going north, like upwards. And I saw this shade of green that I did not understand. And for some reason, I was having a conversation with God. But I was not talking with my mouth. It was like it was in my mind, like a mental conversation. And he was saying to me how much he loves me. Like it was as if as I was going further and further, I was being stripped of everything that made me a human. Like I was being stripped of bones, flesh, and everything. It was just my core that was what I was left, right? So it was like there was nothing to hide behind, or I was It was like as if I was laid bare in front of my maker. We were having a very intense conversation. I was very humbled. While we were having that conversation, I felt a separation. I knew when my baby was taken out. I knew. So I thought I was going to die, but I was okay with it. That was the scary part. I didn't even say, let me beg, say, oh Lord, please let me stay. That didn't even come up. It was just whatever God says is what's going to happen. I thought, okay, as I'm going to wherever you go to when you die. And I started hearing voices. I started hearing the conversations with the doctors. And then I heard like that. I didn't know it was me tapping throughout the entire surgery. I was doing that. I didn't know that. I was wondering, what is that sound? It was me. So the doctors knew that this person is still alive because of that tapping that I was doing with my hands. And I was like, wow. And then I came to, and I was like, I was watching everybody, and I was just thinking, what just happened? Where did I just go? And I was asking the doctor, how did it go? And the doctor said, fine, that you kept tapping. So we know that you're still here with us. But the doctor didn't tell me everything. Was way after the surgery. The doctor said you nearly flatlined. And that means that you nearly passed away. That was my birth experience, which I have not shared with anyone really. I think I hinted it to my dear beloved friend, but I didn't go in depth into it. But I always feel overwhelmed when I talk about it. And how do I describe this? God is male. It was not a she that I was talking with. And God's love is very intense and it's very pure. It's big. I don't know how to describe it. It overwhelms you, and then we're like very insignificant, like we're very tiny in front of the Almighty. You almost went to the hospital this night. No, yeah, we need to do your hair.
Later.
No, not later. For your hair, like more. I do a lot of things because of my kids. Like the good aspects of my character have been intensified. I want to make sure that my children turn out right, and I want to make sure that they're independent. They can stand on their own 2 feet. They're well raised. They have manners. They're polite. I don't believe in following the trends of the world, right? I just want to raise well-balanced human beings. I don't want the world to influence what they want, who they are. I want them to have a very strong sense of identity, who they are. You understand? And love is very important. I raise my children with love. Even when I scold them or I spank them, because I spank my kids when they're naughty. I spank them. I believe in spanking kids. I don't believe in not spanking kids.
Spotify consultant.
Alex, can I put Spotify on this one?
Yes, and the TV, you can connect it. Let me just sign up on my account for you.
Yeah. Don't sign up on your account. I want to watch. Okay, let me get from you.
Mama, did you sing?
I didn't
Can you sing?
Yes, I can.
It didn't come up.
You can sing.
I didn't say. Why did you say that now? I did not say that.
Minion.
Mama, what if you become famous?
Who told you I'm not famous?
Because you're not.
Name one famous person that I don't know.
Kendrick Lamar.
What about people like that?
Thank you for listening to this episode and this season of It Happened in Nigeria. I have been your host, Awal Awal. The podcast was produced and edited by Mo Isu. Ewoma Omogena is the managing producer. Ebiye Soare is the executive producer. Voix Collective produces this podcast. You can find Voix Collective on social media at VOIX Collective.